I'd love to help you get vulnerable. Let's get naked.
Hey everyone, I'm Ann. Welcome to the Let's Get Naked podcast, where we dive deep into vulnerability. In this space, we'll explore what triggers us, uncover the patterns holding us back, and discover how to take charge of our own growth. If you're ready to dig in, be vulnerable, and face the tough stuff, then buckle up. It's time to get naked. On this podcast, we've shared a lot of stories, personal accounts of how people remember past events. Each story is one person's unique perspective, shaped by their own filters. It's so wild how each person experiences the same event completely different, especially within families. Like when something happens, maybe it's a holiday dinner or a birthday or just a random family get-together, it's not just one shared experience. Everyone has their own personal lens through which they interpret it. People bring their history, emotions, and past experiences to the table, and suddenly, the same event is a completely different reality for everyone involved. Take something like a family argument, for example. One person might see it as a small disagreement, nothing too serious, but someone else in the same conversation could be triggered by past unresolved issues. So they're not just hearing the words being said, they're hearing all of the history, all the unresolved tensions, all the things they didn't say before. Their filter is shaped by how they've been treated in the past, their relationship with the people involved, and even their mood at the time. And the craziest part, both of these people could walk away thinking they're the one in the right. But from their own personal perspective, they're completely justified. It's like everyone's got their own set of emotional glasses, tinted by their upbringing, past traumas, and life experiences. Two people can be sitting in the same room, looking at the same thing, and yet have completely different views of it. It's why some people can look back on a family event and remember it as a warm, joyful occasion, while someone else might think it was cold and awkward. This is why family dynamics are so tricky. It's not even necessarily about who is right or wrong. It's about how those filters are shaping everyone's individual experiences of the situation. What one person thinks is a funny, lighthearted comment could feel like a sharp jab to someone else, depending on their own personal history. And when you add in generational filters, the differences between how parents and kids or grandparents and grandchildren see the world can be downright staggering. Family memories often collide with the perspective of time and growing up, creating this web of interpretations that only gets more complicated the older everyone gets. It's kind of fascinating, but also exhausting when you think about it. It makes you wonder how we ever come to understand each other at all. But it's also what makes family life so layered. The complexity of perspectives and filters is what makes our relationships rich, even if sometimes it's painful or frustrating to navigate. Today we're stripping it all off with my niece Kreighton. Kreighton is the oldest daughter of my brother Brennan and his wife Caitlin, who have been guests previously on the podcast. Welcome to the show, beautiful.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome. So I'd like to start by saying, as I've been doing this podcast, the different perspectives that I've been seeing as other people recount stories of things that I was there for, sometimes in years where I was sober, sometimes in years where I wasn't. It has really opened my eyes to what I was just talking about in the intro of every event has everyone else's different take on it. You're looking at things from a unique perspective. You're looking at things through filters that come from emotions, experiences, what mood you're in that day, what age you are during that, which is fascinating to me. So for those that don't know, Kreighton is the oldest of Brennan and Caitlin's kids. She's 19, and their other kids are 17, 14, 10.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
3 oldest are girls. The youngest is a boy. And they are excellent human beings. I have so much fun with them. We have such a close relationship with all of them. My kiddos and them, their kiddos are real close, and it's just fun to be part of. But it's been really unique and interesting to listen to your dad and your mom come on and tell stories from their perspective, or cousins, or my kids, or whoever comes on and tells that. So it's been kind of a really fun onion to peel back the layers of.
So exciting.
It is exciting. Yeah, I think that as people are hearing this, if it was something that you were a part of that story and you don't remember it a certain way, keeping that in mind, that it is someone else's perspective, so that you don't take it personally, because sometimes I've heard stories where they don't paint me in the best light, which is okay. That's somebody else's, recount of what that is. But if I wasn't emotionally intelligent enough to not take that personally and really get my feelings hurt every time someone said something that doesn't paint me in a great light, I wouldn't be doing this podcast because it just keeps coming and coming and coming, which is fine. So one thing that I do really want to clarify, Kreighton and I were talking about it last night, and we were joking about the episode where I had her dad and her mom on, and we started by saying, how does it feel to be the one that turned your brother gay? And I realize after Kreighton is telling me that she's sharing this podcast with a lot of different people, and they call her after the fact and say, what the hell was that about? I would like to just explain it a little bit to our listeners so that they are not wondering, like, what the hell is that about? When we were growing up, we were grown up. We were raised very religious, and so in most organized religions, they think that being gay is wrong. It's I'm not going to get into it more than that because I don't want to change the entire shift of the podcast today, but it's not acceptable. And so when Keith was younger, we could tell from when he was little that he was different. I had two excellent examples of your dad who was very, on the boy side, masculine side, and your uncle who was, definitely had different interests, is the way I will say that. And love them all the same. There's nothing different about that. They're unique in their own ways. But, my mom made a comment a long time ago that in our family, you can't say anything in our family, or we just run with it from now until the end of time, about the comments that Brennan would make, or other things that turned him gay by razzing him or giving him a hard time, or, for those that aren't old enough to know, back in that day, we used to call everybody gay. That was a thing that we used to be able to do, and not because we thought they were, homosexual. That's just what you called people, is they're gay. You don't be so gay, whatever. And so anyway, so that's the inside kind of family joke, is that Brennan harassed your uncle so much that it turned him gay. Which
he was worried about the ladies.
He was worried about the lady. Right, exactly. That's what Brennan says, is I was worried. I wanted to make sure that I was the one getting all of the ladies, which
he was successful.
He shouldn't worry about that. He got your mom, and that's plenty. So the other thing that ties into something that we've done previously on the podcast is that Kreighton is going to do a little bit of an exit interview. On our first episode, Amanda came on and was talking about her kiddos getting old enough where they were at the point of moving out of their houses, and at work, when we're done with jobs, we do exit interviews, and being able to do a familial exit interview where you're talking about how your 1 through 18 years, went. Exactly. So this is going to be a fun conversation.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. I appreciate you being willing to be vulnerable and to share all of the things, because I know that that's not easy. But as we've talked about previously, we understand the importance of doing that and what that brings to the listeners, and them being able to ask questions in their own lives, or get curious about things in their own lives, or be relatable, where they don't feel like they're on an island by themselves, because we have some messed up stuff in our family, and sadly, or good news, bad news, whatever, that's just what it is, but we're willing to talk about it, which I think is really powerful. And so I appreciate you coming on and doing that. I've led with vulnerability, and everyone is like, I'm in, I'll talk about this with the things, let's do it. So I find that to be amazing. I have some questions that Brennan sent in, and Kreighton's siblings sent in, and so we'll kind of dive in with those a little bit, and then we can also just talk about other things as they come up, whatever it is. So
Let's do it.
We're not even going to ease into anything. I'm just going to cut. I know, I'm so sorry.
Right in the heart.
I know. Well, this is a good one. So Hosey sent in and said, who has had the most impact on your life thus far? And I think you don't have to just put that down to one person, but maybe if you think about different people that have had an impact on who you are, and what does that look like? Like, what comes to your mind when I ask that question? Who's the first person that sparks to your mind?
I have a few people. I have
Okay.
a lot of good ladies in my life.
Yeah.
You, my mom, and Emma. They have definitely been a driving factor. I mean, yeah, my dad and whoever else. But you guys have definitely shown me that if you work your ass off, you can get what you want.
Yeah.
And no matter what, as long as you're happy, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Like we had that conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
And you guys have always shown that do what you want to do what you love, and don't take anything for granted. Be yourself, and don't worry about anybody else around you.
Yeah. Which is excellent, because if all you have to do is those things, and everything else falls into place, which is awesome. Okay, if you could change one thing about your life after high school, what would that be?
Ooh. Oh God. Yikes. I think taking the job I took, I think this has been a lot. I think taking on too much while I'm still in school and stressing myself out too much.
Yeah.
Because I think going to Texas was amazing. I mean, yeah, it sucked and it was terrible, but it taught me a lot, and it made me appreciate coming home more. But yeah, taking on too much while I'm at school, because school should be my main focus, and it's not.
Yeah. So for our listeners, Kreighton graduated high school and then went to Texas for her first year of college and did not love that, which is okay. And it's nice that you don't say that that's something that you would change, because a lot of times you look back at your life, and for me, things that were the hardest for me have the most growth tied to them.
For sure.
So I look back and think I wouldn't change anything. You know, I agree with where you're saying about the job and the school, because the priority and making sure that fits. But it's lovely to look back and say the hard things are actually pretty groovy. They help you grow the most. They show you the most things about yourself. And yeah, they're hard, but we can do hard things. Yeah. So that's awesome. This is, oh God. Do you feel like you had a bad childhood?
Not at all.
Okay.
No. I think I am very blessed for the way I grew up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change a thing. Yeah. I mean, maybe my dad, but just kidding. No, I had a great childhood. My mom talked about survivor's guilt when she was on here last time, and I completely feel that. Yeah. Because this isn't a bad thing, but I surround myself with people, and I've heard their stories, and my childhood sounds amazing. I had great parents. My parents have stayed together the whole time. I grew up on a farm, which I love it. It's grown my passion for agriculture. That's what I love to talk about. Got to do 4-H. I get to pay for my college by myself, which is the coolest thing ever. Hard work was a big thing. And so, no, I wouldn't change the way. I mean, yeah, working every Sunday at the house, that would be cool if we didn't have to do that every Sunday, but I wouldn't change anything.
Well, I think that stuff builds character. I think
100%.
that builds you who you are. I think you being able to do things and show you're capable, learning the things. You know, I've spent my last however many years going up and spending as much time with Kreighton and her family, watching them grow up. And I will tell you that on the farm that they live on the property that they live on, a lot of capable things are being taught. A lot of stuff that would blow your mind. And I look at the differences between your family and other kiddos, and it makes me very proud of your mom and your dad, because I think they have done hard things in teaching you guys a lot of stuff. Your mom always wanted to be a mom, and I commend that. You know, that was something that she puts her heart and soul into, and I've watched her with some of her finest parenting moments, where I'm so proud that she's willing to do the hard, unpopular thing, because that's where kids really grow to be the most capable. Sure. I don't remember if it was Adeline or if it was John who, when we went to the high school and we took that big mower, like the mower driving, and got it off the trailer for something, and when we were done, one of the kids that was like 10 or like
Adeline put it back.
Yeah, Adeline was like 11 years old or 12 years old or whatever, gets on that riding mower, one of these huge things, not like a little John Deere, like it's a big mower, and just drives it right back up on the trailer in a situation where it was dark. You probably could have used a spotter.
Not safe.
Like all of the things, just drove it up there like a boss, and I thought, that's what I'm talking about.
She's not afraid of anything.
She's not afraid of anything, but I think that will set you guys up really well in life. And it's fun to me to have a front row seat to be able to watch what you do. Yeah. I watch how you are a light to other people around you, and being able to really help them be their best selves, right? Which is what I aspire to do as well, because I think that that's really important to encourage other people to do that, and then just lead by example, by being your authentic self, being, vulnerable and willing to really show everyone the amazing awesomeness that you are. So I absolutely love that. Now, I don't think you had a bad childhood either, but I thought that was an interesting question that I was fielding from your family. Let's see. Do you feel that your parents put too much responsibility on you throughout your childhood? And be honest. You're not going to hurt their feelings. You're not going to hurt their feelings.
I think sometimes, yeah. I think I felt like a mom too much. Mm-hmm. Oh, dang it.
I know. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, honey.
My siblings are my babies. And I think it's been hard separating myself from that, because as I get older, I have resentment towards them because I've taken a lot out of me to help them. So I think that's hard, but other than that, no. I wouldn't change it.
Is it hard for you as you are getting to be an adult and moving on to leave them behind a little bit? Yeah. Because you did have such a close relationship with them in that way. Yeah. Because you were kind of a fill-in mom for stuff, because you were the bigger one. Yeah. Yeah. So for the listeners, Brennan and Kreighton they lead big lives.
Yes,
I mean,
you do.
Yeah. I look at the stuff from, some people look at the lives that your Uncle Cameron and I lead and think that we're absolutely nuts. And I look at the same thing for your parents, and it's just, we're constantly going. It's on the go, on the move, going here, going there, all of the things. And to watch and talk to the kids as they've gotten older, it's a different
perspective for sure.
It's a different perspective.
For sure.
But you're able to kind of see that growing up too, that's your parents are just human beings. We were talking about that this morning. When you're younger, you see your parents as this like larger than life thing. And then as you get older and you realize they're just doing the best that they can. They're just the same human beings like you are, who have much bigger responsibilities and are still trying to live their life and have a good time and raise the best kids that they can and make enough money to keep food on the table and do all of the responsibilities. And so it's hard to be able to do that.
Yeah.
God, got you on question 3.
Already?
Oh, my God. No, I was question 4. So sorry. You made it to question.
God.
I don't want,
Thank God.
You made it to question 4. Let's see. What qualities have you learned from each of your parents? And here's a fun one that I like to do, and I did this with Wiley too. Give me a good one. Like, what is a quality that you took in from each of them? Give me a good one and a bad one. Okay. Because I think, obviously, they're not trying to intentionally instill bad habits or bad, whatever. But we still do learn good and bad things that you're like, I definitely want to instill this in, going forward in my kiddos, and things that you wouldn't. So what's a good one and a bad one for each of them?
I think for my dad, this can be good and bad, my honesty. I'm a little too honest sometimes, but I love it. I wouldn't change that.
I will say there is not too honest, just so you know. There might be like delivery stuff.
That's my problem. My delivery
but then those are maybe not your people, because I'm very honest as well. Yeah. And I only am coming from a good place when I say that, but it does sometimes sound like, which is why I always say I'm not for everyone, which is okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yes, the honest is I don't think it's too honest, but honesty is a good thing.
So I got that from my dad. A good one from my mom. She's very caring. My mom's always been very caring, and she always wants to take care of other people. So I think that's a good one that I got from her. Oh, a bad one from my dad. My smart-assness. I'm a smart-ass through and through. And that is definitely from my dad. A bad one from my mom. I love you, Mom. People-pleasing. Yeah. It's a bad one. It can be good, but it drags you down.
I don't think it can be good. And I'll tell you why. I think in that way, people pleasing, because we disregard our own needs and wants before someone else, but not even for a good thing. Because when you really pull apart people pleasing, why we're doing it, you're doing things that maybe aren't even things that they want or need you to do. And disappointing yourself in the process, the trade-off isn't good. No. It's something completely different if, I don't know, the trade-off isn't good for the people-pleasing thing. So, sorry, Kreighton.
That's a bad one I got from you, Mom. Love you.
That's all right, though. That's all right. She can handle it. Okay, let's see. Do you feel like your dad was absent too much while he was still farming?
No.
Really?
I mean, I guess sometimes, but I don't really remember it.
Okay.
I remember going out and hanging out on the tractor, and he said that I talked too much, which I don't know what he's talking about. I never talk too much. But I had to catch up for all the time.
Yeah.
He apparently does not enjoy when I would talk all the time in the tractor, but that's what I remember. I don't remember him not being there. I mean, sometimes, yeah, when I was at my sporting events or whatever, I'm not athletic, so I didn't really care.
Right.
I just wanted to be done.
Right.
So, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't remember it. I would say busy doing other things.
Okay.
So,
All right. Brennan, you're off the hook on that one.
not yet.
Did you ever feel like your parents didn't have enough money to get you the things you wanted or wanted to do?
No, I think I just didn't ask. I think that I know that I was like, this is a burden. And I started working when I was 13. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'll just get it myself. Yeah. I'll just do it. I'll do it, because I have 3 other siblings. Mm-hmm. Put that money towards them. I'll just pay for my own stuff, which backfired really badly. But
why did it backfire?
Because every time they're like, oh, Kreighton's taking money again. I'm thinking in my head, really, Dad, really? That cash from concessions isn't going to hurt you.
Right.
But no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think they got me everything I needed.
I think you being responsible from a young age, you look at that, and it may sometimes, if you're looking back, feel like not a great thing, but I will tell you, as you get older, it's an excellent thing. Because even just your pride of saying you put yourself through college. Yeah. So Kreighton was, for our listeners, Kreighton was involved in 4-H, which is how would you describe 4-H to someone that has never heard of 4-H?
It's a life skills thing that you take livestock and you put it into the agriculture industry and you go through all the processes of having livestock. You raise them, you show them, and then they go to butcher. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, you're able to sell them and you profit from it. Mm-hmm. Well, some people profit from it. And it's your decision on what you want to do with that money. Our decision, my parents' decision, which I really appreciate that one from them, is putting it all into a college fund. Everything went to a college. I think I bought a laptop with my fair money, and that was it. Yeah. And the second that it went to school, it's paid off. Yeah. School's done, which is awesome because that's a big burden off of my shoulders and I'll have money left over when I'm done. Yeah. So 4-H has been a fun thing that has bonded our family because Brendan and Caitlin and their family live in Colorado, out east of Denver, and every year at the Arapahoe County Fair, we will go do that whole auction shit show. Craziness.
Yeah, craziness that happens. And it is, I got involved maybe 15 years ago.
My first year.
Was it your first year?
Yeah. So
oh my God, that makes me so happy. So then, excellent. And Kreighton showed for the last time this past year, so she's out. I think they're only allowed to once they are done with high school, then they have to.
Yeah, once you turn 18.
Once you turn 18, then you're not allowed to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. And so it has been something that now I've gotten really involved in for not just the Westendorf kiddos, but all of the other kiddos that are there as well, because it teaches such good responsibility, how teaching them, finances about, okay, you have to, part of the project is you have to keep track of the expenses that you put into the animal, and then what do you sell it for? What did you buy the animal for? So it just teaches kids how to budget things. And again, putting money into colleges, which is what a lot of the kids do, buying their next year's projects, all of that. And I just have always been so humbled by being able to be part of that, because the kids always send, have thank you notes and cards, and it really gives you some restoration and humanity to watch you guys do that. So I absolutely love it.
All of your support.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So big shout out to Arapahoe County 4-H kiddos.
They're pretty cool.
I really appreciate that. They are pretty cool. I love that. Okay, so next question. If you could describe your childhood in one word, what would it be? That's a rough one.
Dang, one word?
I know, that's a rough one.
They didn't give me any room.
And if you want to think about that one and come back to it at the end.
Let's come back to that. Let's come back
Let's see if we can brutalize your dad a little bit more before we pick a word. Let's see. Okay. This is a good one.
Oh, God.
So I'm going to paint a picture a little bit for the listeners before I ask this question. So Brendan and I talked about on our the podcast that we had, emotional intelligence, and just a lot of men in my circle don't have a great grip on it. Some of them do. I think your dad is late to the dance, not any later than I was, because I also did not have any emotional intelligence until the last handful of years, really realizing how important that was, not just from a run from it and stuff shit down, but actually like, okay, let's see what that brings to the table. So Brennan's understanding and work on emotional intelligence has been a more recent thing. And I don't know, when we were talking about it last night and I said, how recently do you feel like you've watched your dad change in that way? And you said the last couple of years, which I find to be interesting, and I would agree with that. So it's kind of interesting. I think that gal that came to Fiore and Sons to do some of their management training sparked some things for him. I sent that lovely woman a shout out, an email to her the other day, because when I was talking with him on his podcast, it blew my mind a little bit to listen to some of the stuff that he is saying, because he's very much always been this, heavy diesel mechanic, big tough guy, all of the things, and never shown any of the emotions, no matter what that is. No. But then to listen to some stories about ways that comes out sideways. That's how I describe, when you get to the point of breaking down, when you get to the point of raging, or you get to the point, it's because you haven't handled your emotions appropriately. You didn't know what to do with them, and then something triggers it and it comes out sideways. So to have him be at a point where he is actually having intelligent conversations about how things make him feel, even if he doesn't know, even if it's that made me feel a certain type of way, perfect. Get curious about that. Where does that come from? If you get curious about yourself and go all in on yourself, that's all I'm peddling. That's all I'm encouraging people to do, is really get curious about themselves, because I feel like your whole entire life will unfold in front of you in the most beautiful way if you do that. So that's, I wanted to give everyone a little bit of a preview of what Brennan brings to the table for that. Kreighton's dad, what he brings to the table. So was your dad's lack of emotional intelligence difficult to cope with and or navigate? And I would love to take a few minutes to talk about that. Just maybe some examples, some stories, some things where you realized, that he didn't have the emotional intelligence. Or maybe you didn't even realize that until now, right? You're 19 years old. Maybe you don't even realize that, or, what's your take on it?
I think you could definitely notice it. When I was younger, I could definitely notice it, because like you said, if you don't feel anything, you can't feel the highs. And when we would all be celebrating whatever, he'd be like, yeah, great, cool. Let's continue on. And then it would come out in anger, like you said. We had a big fight. I don't even remember. It was something, I was leaving the house or something. And he had pushed everything down. I had started dating. I had been going out with my boyfriend, all these things, and something just flipped. And he lost it, and it turned into a shit show. And it made me leave. I didn't want to be around anymore. And so, I think it definitely had an impact, but I can definitely tell that it has changed. He actually has fun now. I've never seen my dad smile like he does now, and it's so cool.
Oh, you're going to make me cry. Thanks a lot.
I can't be the only one.
God, I hate you. There's a tissue right there. Don't be shy. You just have to keep those poor little short arms. You're so close. I have spent time with your dad recently where we went on a vacation. Your Uncle Cameron and your mom and your dad and I go on vacations sometimes together. And we were on a vacation one time in, I think, Barbados maybe. And he was holding a monkey. There was this guy that was walking around. I know, I've never seen him so happy in my life. And he's like, this is the best day of my life. And I'm like, you did have 4 children and get married and like all of the things. But he literally was with that damn monkey, was so happy. I've never seen him so happy in my entire life. And the other day we were laughing and giggling, and I saw that same smile. And I thought, yes. Yes. You have to, if you have to feel the lows, then you get to feel the highs. If you just keep numbing out and doing the rinse, lather, repeat, you just get about a 5 or a 6. 4, 5, 6 on a scale of 1 to 10. You can have that all the time. But when you can have 9s and 10s and you get that really from your soul smile, that's a big deal.
And it affects everybody around you.
Yeah.
Makes everybody else happy.
What do you think has been contributing factors to his evolution of emotional intelligence?
The work thing, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, that was crazy.
Shout out to Maureen.
Yeah.
Serious shout out to Maureen.
What a good lady.
I know, what a good lady.
Wow.
I find it also super fascinating that that's the same name as our sister that passed away. I find that to be super fascinating
cool.
because I also look at the effect that Maureen had on me. I don't think, I don't know that I would have gotten sober had my sister not passed away because it really sent me over the edge. So huge shout out to Maureen because I know she's watching.
Yes.
Okay, so big shout out to the Marine that came to your dad's work and kind of opened his mind a little bit to that. I think that's huge.
I think also farming definitely helped. I think he was way too stressed out with farming.
Yeah.
Farming did a lot. Farming was fun, but it's been good since he didn't have that stress. It's kind of like a ball and chain, just dragging around. He had to go do it. It wasn't something that he loved doing it, but on the scale he was doing it, he did it because it was expensive, and no one profits off of farming in Colorado. So.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone profits off of farming
True,
anywhere,
true,
unfortunately,
true.
but that's the world we live in.
But yeah, so those things, he also started working out. So proud of him. Then he hurt his back, so I don't know what's happening now. But just all those things definitely helped. And it was cool coming home on the weekends from school to see him not gone.
Yeah.
He was home working on shit.
Yeah, he's more engaged with things. He's more present with stuff.
He gets to come to games with us, even though he never stops talking of those things.
Being more mindful of his Skittles, maybe?
Yes.
I know.
Yes, if we could work on the road rage, we'd be set.
I know.
Be
and the road
healthy
rage,
guy.
Brennan, just because I know you're listening, is low-hanging fruit. So go ahead and just let that go. You
no
don't
more
need to waste
flipping
Skittles
people
on
off
that.
and getting angry.
Yeah, they're just driving. They're just living their best lives. So just live yours, right? They don't care.
But yeah, so I think it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
And it's cool to watch. And I think my mom's helped too.
Yeah.
I think she pokes and prods at him a little more.
Yeah.
Which
I think even just watching everyone that's around me as they level up with their emotional intelligence is the best gift I've ever gotten in my life. Because I'm evolving as well.
Yeah.
And to watch everyone else around me as this is, becomes a bigger thing where people are like, I could totally handle that differently. Because when you realize if somebody bumps into a trigger of yours and you don't know how to handle it and you lose your shit, you cause your own suffering. You cause your own problems because the way that you react ends up hurting other people's feelings and you're doing damage control from that stuff, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Rather than just being emotionally intelligent enough to say, that made me feel a certain type of way. Let me look inside and see what that is, rather than lashing out, coming from a bad place, all of the things. So I hope that your dad takes that nugget and does something with it, because as I watch other people doing that, it has the best possible outcome on their lives. And when you realize that you have control over that, you have control over how you respond to things, it's a big deal. Your dad and I always talked about when we were younger, and by younger I still do mean just in my 30s, but still younger, that we were dead inside, and same thing with your Uncle Keith. Being able to just, we're dead inside, we don't, blah, 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 blah. And to watch, because your uncle is also doing the work and figuring all of that out for himself, and to watch that from the outside as well, it's the honor of my life.
It's so cool.
It's the honor of my life, cool. Right? Yeah. And having your dad be somebody that's on my white whale list, because I've been planting seeds for a long time.
They're working.
Just carefully, right? I drop a seed and then I leave. I drop a little nugget and I walk away, because you can't just come in with a baseball bat and hit these guys over the head. They've spent way too many years numbing out and not paying attention to what their feelings are or how that makes them feel or any of that, not being willing to show that because they think that that's a sign of weakness. To be able to change that narrative for people has been really important work, and I love it.
It's fun.
I love it, and I do. I just now that I realize, I've been doing it for a long time, but now that I realize, I've kind of turned it into a little bit of a game, because I'll just set a nugget and then just quietly walk away.
Hey, you're winning right now.
I feel like I am too, because I've got everyone on my list that's like, what is Ann doing? Let me get curious about that. Let me just take a little listen. Let me just, let me just add. So I'm getting people.
You're winning this game.
I am
winning
this. I am winning this game of life. But the game of life for me is I found a cheat code, guys. Let me share it with you. That's literally what I feel like. Yeah. If you can have this incredible life where you were so twisted up about stupid shit that you didn't even realize. Your dad is carrying around stuff from his childhood. He doesn't even know what it is. If you realize that you could set that stuff down and not carry that baggage into raising your kids or being the example that you are to your coworkers or to your friends or any of that stuff. If you realize that you could do that work and be so much better, why wouldn't you do that? Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Especially for your dad, because he's always been very fascinated with psychology in other people.
Which is so weird.
It's so weird.
He doesn't seem like that person at all.
Right, exactly. Not for himself. And it's like, hey, bro, you've got a whole test case right in front of you with your own freaking family. Go ahead and just turn around. You're going to have a plethora of stuff. You'll never run out. You'll never run out of material.
Case you've ever seen.
I know. I have yet to run out of material. And I don't think I'm going to ever run out of material for being able to do the work and the things that it brings up in my life. Because it's, why did that make me feel a certain type of way? And then I go in and I figure out what it is. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to go ahead and fix that because I can, because our brains are amazing things. I don't want that to be programmed that way anymore. So I'm going to fix it and I'm going to release that. And I'm not going to carry that around anymore. And then that's just one less trigger that I'm dealing with. So your dad just has a blanket trigger. So he's going to have a lot of work to do. But I trust that he can do it. And I trust that how powerful that is, Brennan, to listen to your daughter say how that's such a huge deal for her and how her seeing that has made such a big difference. Am I right?
100%.
Right?
100%.
And those other kiddos that are coming up, right?
They notice it too.
They notice it too. And they still have lots of years at home. So go ahead and just keep doing that work. This isn't really a subtle seed that I'm planting right now. This is more of a bucket this is a bucket of fertilizer I just poured on that. So you're welcome. Let's see. How much of a negative, okay, so this is the follow-up question too, was your dad's lack of emotional intelligence difficult to cope or navigate? How much of a negative impact did it have on your relationship with him? And this, I think, would be excellent. This is his questions.
He came out of the park.
For it, I know. Which makes me feel like he's evolving emotionally. I know. His EQ is just going through the roof. So I would ask you to use a couple of examples with that as well, because I think that that's the right way to really send that message to him so that he can really understand and dig into that. It will benefit your other siblings by having those examples. So the question is, how much of a negative impact did it have on your relationship with him?
Quite a bit.
Yeah. Give me examples.
Gosh, dang it.
I know, I'm sorry.
Should have cried last night.
I'm pretty sure you were going to get me one way or the other, and I said that coming in.
I used to be really close to my dad. Really close.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dang it.
It's okay.
This podcast.
It's okay. It's what it's for.
I was really close with him. I was daddy's girl through and through. Me and my mom fought all the time, which I hated. It was not fun. And as I got older, it was, you shouldn't be feeling that. You should be tough, like we talked about the bullying stuff. I'd come home and talk about it, and he's like, oh, that's nothing. But it really affected me. And so it made me not want to talk to him about things. So I held things from him. I avoided those conversations. I avoided that stuff because it was, no, you need to be tougher. You need to really just push through it. And coming from somebody I was little, I was in middle school, that's not what I wanted to hear. I wanted my dad to say, oh, yeah, here you go. And so that was really hard. We've definitely gotten closer since I moved away. I think that was definitely an eye-opener for everybody. I've gotten closer with everybody since I moved. But yeah, he would just push stuff down, and I get it, where we talk about stuff that we did, and because he wasn't paying attention to his emotions, he'd say, oh, I don't remember that. Which sucks.
It does.
Because we all had a great time, and he doesn't remember that. So that makes all of us feel like shit because what were we doing wrong? Yeah. That he didn't have fun or enjoy it. So, yeah, I think it's gotten better. I mean, there's still some things that I don't want to talk about because I'm scared it's not going to be justified. But I don't know. I mean, it sucks because I really have always wanted to be close to my dad. That's my best friend. And so not having that was terrible. But then I look at people who don't have their dad at all. And so it makes me want to rekindle that relationship to where it used to be and make it better. Now that we're both focusing on fixing ourselves.
You can do that.
Yeah.
He wants to do that. I think you look at that, and he was just doing what he was dealt. That's part of generational trauma, and that's part of, God, just so everyone knows, I'm a terribly ugly crier.
So am I.
But being at this place that we can crack this shit wide open.
Yeah.
We can crack this shit wide open. Yeah. We don't have to just play the hand that we were dealt. We get to change that, especially when we see the effect that had. Because what you're talking about with your dad is the exact same thing that I did to Emily.
Yeah.
Be tough. You don't need to show your emotions. Vulnerability is weakness.
Yeah.
Vulnerability is don't let people, no, we're not processing it that way. Just buck up and all the things. That's not the right way to handle it, because then you're just pushing stuff down, and then we numb, right? We push it down and we numb. Again, generally with the big three, booze, food, or TV, and we're all really good at it. But when you realize what a fucking waste of your life to spend your life numbing out with booze and food and TV instead of going out there and living. We've literally been put in Disneyland. Yeah. We have 80 years, if you're lucky, in Disneyland, and we're worrying about the stupid shit that we're worrying about. Yeah. Open your eyes, people, right? So him being able to realize, and I hope that he hears this, and I hope this hits him like a ton of bricks.
I hope so too.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna make him cry again. Yeah, fourth time.
I know, but that's okay. He will do something with this. Yeah. I know that he will. Because hearing that from you and really understanding the impact that has had on you, and knowing that in order for him to have an excellent relationship with his adult children, what that looks like is your EQ has to elevate. Yes. Yep. Yes, King, because I know he can do that. Yeah. I know I do that. I let my children be my teacher. He will allow you children to be his teacher. I know that. It's just a matter of him evolving and figuring that stuff out and realizing how important that is, because he was just in survival mode. When you go through the trauma that you go through as a child, and I didn't realize this about myself until much more recently. But when I realized that I was in fight or flight all the time, from my childhood, from all of the messed up stuff that happened, I was literally just in survival mode. I was just, what's the next thing? It's why I've always been so good under pressure, because it doesn't matter. I'm not going to crack. It's, okay, what's next? Go, go, go. And I just pile on top, pile on top, pile on top, pile on top, until you can't remember the things, and you do just numb out, and you're not plugged in and present for your family and for your lives. And so we all say, like, our families are the most important thing, but are they? Yeah. Because you have to be willing to look in the mirror and do the hard work. But I think a lot of people don't even realize that that's an option, which is why I'm on this platform right now, which is why this is so important to me, to tell people you can do the work. You can have the other side of things where you don't just numb out, where you're not just trying to push things down and not be willing to do that. I always thought vulnerability was a weakness. It's my superpower. It's my superpower, because I have data points that just show over and over and over that when I lead with vulnerability, other people want that. Other people want to be able to have that connection. Other people want to be able to say the hard things and say, God, I wish things were this way. And I can change them. I can do that work. So you being able to be vulnerable with your parents and say the hard things, right? That's the stuff that will really elevate your guys' relationships. And my relationship with the girls, whether it's hard or good, bad, whatever, I am honored to be able to have a front seat at being able to watch them turn into these beautiful human beings that they are. Not just as kids, as peers now. Brittany came on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and I sat across from her like I'm sitting across from you, and it was the first time that I really thought, I'm sitting across from a woman. I mean, she had it held together more than I did as far as like emotional stuff. She came and she just slayed.
She killed it.
She killed it. And she said hard things. For any of the listeners at home that heard that episode, it was rough to be part of. It was rough to be part of. And I had to, even when I was trying to listen to it back when it released, I had to really show myself some grace, because that was hard for me to listen to how I backed the bus over myself, because I want her to know that I take accountability for that. But also, that wasn't my account of remembering things. Yes, that was very transactional for her, and I can say, yes, that tracks for listening to your perspective, but I always did the best that I could with them. I always, we loved on them the best way that I knew how, which, again, we're all just doing the best that we can. So if you can come from that perspective when you're doing things in your family, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Are there any other examples that come to mind about a negative impacts that had on your dad for not having emotional intelligence?
I don't really know. I've kind of like, not forgiven him, but forgiven him for it because I know, like you said, they did the best that they could.
He did.
Dad didn't know how to deal with his emotions, and he's getting much better.
I love that.
Because of you. Just saying. Big props. But yeah, I kind of just, I don't want to remember that stuff. I want to remember the good stuff, and it's not that I'm numbing or blocking it out.
Right.
I remember it.
You can just release it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's over. It's done.
That's the beauty of it. It's funny because I use this analogy where I say, okay, there's bad stuff that you can remember that happened. And I liken that to, you're at a restaurant, you got food poisoning. Mm-hmm. Are you going to ask them for a to-go box to take that container with you to then just keep bringing it up mentally and running it through your head about how fucked up that was? You're not going to do that. You shouldn't. We all do. But don't do that, right? It's your dad was doing the best that he could. He wasn't intentionally trying to hurt you or leave you out of things or not be plugged in emotionally or any of that stuff. He wasn't doing any of that. So being able to release that and forgive him, because forgiveness is not for him, forgiveness is for you.
Yeah.
Right? And understanding that and knowing that I don't want to carry that baggage around. You want to be able to go into a relationship with him as an adult and say, I want you to be a close person in my life, and then navigate that in a way where you can help him elevate his intelligence around emotions and vice versa, right? Because we all can work on that every single day, regardless of where you are on the spectrum of emotions. Emotional intelligence isn't just, I'm comfortable showing my emotions. It's being intentional with how you use that knowledge when it comes up, when things are happening, like, okay, what am I using this for? And so to be able to do that, bravo, I love it. Okay, do you have anything else? If not, we'll skip.
Nope. Okay, we're good to go to the next question.
All right, next question. What would you change about your childhood? Besides your dad, obviously.
Yeah. That's a hard one.
It is.
Think anything.
Okay. Excellent. Which is a good place to come from. I look at my life and I say, I don't have regrets.
No.
I wouldn't change anything, even the messed up stuff, because it's made me who I am. Where I am sitting right now, here across from you, is the sum of my learned experiences. Yeah. All of the good, the bad, the everything. So how do you start playing Jenga with that by pulling out and changing things and then still be the person that you are? It doesn't really work like that. So you're very young to be saying that you wouldn't change anything. I love that. Bravo. Okay, let's see. What things that your parents did or still do you not agree with that you will change when you have kids?
Oh, man.
That's a big daddy.
I think using what their experiences were to try to shape my life.
Say more.
We've had these conversations
more about
a lot.
That.
I haven't been thinking. I am moving out.
She hasn't told them yet, by the
told
way.
them
Just
yet.
FYI, this podcast won't air until after you do that. But.
Thank God. Yeah. So I'm moving out, and that has been a huge thing because I grew up Catholic, going to church every Sunday. We're gonna do all these things, whatever, with very Catholic grandparents. And so when I brought it up the first time, it was, well, we didn't do that, and we don't think it's a good idea. And that's hard on me because they got married 30 years ago, maybe 25. Don't want to age them, but yeah,
20.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, they're only in their early 40s.
Dad's
so
like 75.
Dad is 75.
Senile fella. But yeah, I think pushing on. Yeah, they have done all the things, but I think them pushing what they did on me makes me want to do it even more. It's that red button that people say don't touch. Yeah. And I want to touch it and explode it because it's my life.
Yeah, it is your life.
And my book is different from what theirs is.
Yeah.
And yeah, as our situations are similar, yes, they met their person when they were 17. I met mine when I was 15. We've been dating for 4 years. I feel like, and I want to live, my other thing is living with them before you're married. They don't agree with that. I think it's really important You can't live with somebody, why marry them?
I couldn't agree with you more. I do not want to find out certain things after the fact and then be like, oh, great, now I'm locked into this.
Yeah. I don't want to. I mean, there's nothing against divorce. And nothing's wrong with that. But if you can avoid it, why not?
Well, and you get to choose your own path.
Yeah.
So really understanding that, and I appreciate, you're an adult now, and so you get to take advice and nuggets from different people that you decide that you value their opinions, and then you get to put that all into who you are and then shake it out to whatever your decisions are going to to be. And then you own your own decisions because your parents don't have to come back behind you and clean up the messes for anything. You're an adult.
That's my mess.
Exactly. So it's your mess. So you get to touch whichever stoves you want to. You get to clean up the messes for anything. And there's no guarantee for any of us. Yeah. Your Uncle Cameron and I have been married for 20 plus years as well. There's no guarantee that we're going to be together tomorrow. So it takes work. It takes, in such a beautiful way, but it takes you putting the energy and effort into that. I think people think, I'm going to get in this relationship and then we're just together. And it's like, no, if that's important to you, then you need to put energy and effort. You put Skittles towards that to make that something that's amazing. It doesn't just going to happen. You'll get out what you put in. People always say like, oh, the grass is always greener. When people have been married for a while and they're like looking other places, the grass is always greener. No, the grass is greener where you water it. Yep. That's it. That's it. So, okay.
I think just like not taking what I get it. They want to help me and whatever, and they don't want to see me fail, but I'm going to make my own decision no matter what. And I have a really hard time saying that I'm going to do these things because I've always wanted to impress them. I've always wanted to make them proud. But I have to realize that that's the rest of my life.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Trying to make your parents proud. Oof. But that's the ultimate people pleaser.
Yeah, I know, and I need to stop that because it's me.
You're setting yourself up for a life that goes down that path. And if you want me to I can bring a whole crowd of people in front of you that have lived decades being people pleasers, and they can give you reasons why that's not the right answer.
Look at my mom. She puts...
Exactly. We just made direct eye contact with Casey. God love her.
We love you, Casey.
I know we do love her, but she would tell you, she would be the first one to tell you that's not. You compromise yourself over and over and over, and you can see that right now. You're 19 years old, right? And if you start this people pleasing because that's what they would want you to do, which is again something that they're passing down from their parents. Yep. Things are different.
Yeah.
And you're different.
Very different.
Right?
I'm super cool.
Yeah, you are super cool.
My dad.
Thank God. Thank God. Thank God we broke that generational BS. I know. No, but that's awesome, right? Yeah. Being able to say and to come into your own agency and say, this is what I'm doing. This is my decision. Your parents don't pay your bills, right? You're a grown ass woman. Yep. You get to do what you want. Again, you're gonna find out from your mistakes. That's how we learn.
I need to fail.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead. Failure's not a four-letter word. You go ahead and just do whatever it is. And I know that I'm going to take heat for this, and that's okay. Hey. I'm going to take heat from not from other people outside of your parents, but probably from your parents. But we'll go on record and say that I'm the one that gave the advice that you do it. Yeah. They also know when you come down here that I don't agree with organized religion, and I'm going to tell you to do what makes your heart happy, whatever the outcome of that is.
Because like we talked about, it makes me... Yeah, being Catholic, great, cool. That's how I grew up. That's what I know. But I don't agree with everything they
And you get to decide.
Yeah.
You get to decide.
It's my choice.
You don't have to keep doing things out of obligation in that way or out of people-pleasing. That's not how life is. So happiness is an inside job. Take that for how important that is. That's an important role. You've been given one person to take care of on this planet. You carry her around with you all day.
She's getting better.
She's getting better. She's getting better. You don't need to do things to make other people happy. And that doesn't mean you're not kind and you don't, stay plugged in and take care. You understand what I'm saying when I do that. It's not like turn into some selfish asshole and don't do anything for anybody else. But you understand that the people that you're supposed to please starts with you, right? Yeah. So, okay. Big topics today. You let me know after you've had that. I'm sure I'll know after you've had that conversation.
Oh, yeah,
I'll be the first one to get the phone call. So, okay. What's something you've been afraid to admit to others about yourself?
That I hate the way I look.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It is what it is. It's really hard.
Oh, that hurts my soul for you.
And I'm surrounding myself with people who really help me.
Yeah.
My boyfriend has been my biggest cheerleader for that. He's always helped with that, but I don't like who I look like.
Oh, baby, you're so freaking beautiful. I hate that you say that. You've literally like one of the most beautiful lights I have in my life.
Thank you. So yeah, that's my biggest thing that I don't admit to people.
Yeah.
Is I don't love myself the way I should.
Oh. Lots of work to be done there.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, that's something that you young girls, it's part of what calls me to do the things that I do, because you were not handed a great set of circumstances with the social media and the comparing and the filters and the everyone is beautiful, and then you look in the mirror and it's like, and then I get this.
Yeah.
Even I started using Snapchat recently. Okay, everyone, all listeners, I'm 100, and I have not been on social media because it's just not my jam. I've been busy living my life. And now that I'm doing all of the things that I'm doing, I'm on social media, not myself, but other people make that happen for me. God bless them. But my son says to me the other day, if I would snap him, he would respond more quickly to my text messages, which I take that as a personal challenge. So now I use the filters and I'll send messages to my kid, and then he's like, Mom, no, I meant like just text in there. And I'm like, and then I'll do another video and I'm like, yeah, you got it. And then I send him that snap. And because it's my job as his mother to mess with him relentlessly. That's
She's just the greatest filters.
I know, right? But now I look at some of those filters and I realize I get it. The younger girl social media, how you would have a poor self-image of yourself. Yeah. And I cannot even imagine what it would have been like had I grown up with that, because I grew up thinking that my shit didn't stink. I always thought I was fabulous. And that doesn't mean, that doesn't mean I don't have parts of myself that I don't love or like any of that stuff, but I never had confidence issues in that way where I was comparing myself to other people, where that was thrown in your face all the time. But that's what social media is for our young girls specifically, because I don't think the boys find it, they don't use it in that same way. But our young girls, 1,000%.
We tear ourselves apart.
Oh, you tear yourselves apart. And I just think, what's the answer? Let me ask you, what's the answer? What's the answer if you had, obviously you can't just say social media is gone and we're not doing that anymore, but how do we support you young women as you're navigating that? Because it doesn't help you lift each other up. Yeah. You tear each other down. You guys are terrible to each other.
Oh, women are awful.
Women are awful to each other. And so I come from this place of, what do we do to fix that? Do you have ideas about that? Or maybe you could even think about stuff. I don't know what it is.
I think, like you said, social media has been a big part of it. I even look at my sister and drag myself down. My sister's beautiful. Both of them are. Yeah. My mom. Yeah. I look just like my mom. So, Mom, this is no offense to you. Yeah. This is just me. But I think when you look at social media, all the influencers are skinny and blonde. And what do they do for their lives? They go to the gym 24/7. Yeah. No real person. They're real people, but no normal everyday person who has a 9 to 5 and doing school has time to go to the gym for 7 hours.
I know, but here's the thing that I will tell you. In comparing yourself to that girl probably was spending the morning crying because of something that she was
so sad.
It is, but like that's the part about that. So even you comparing and saying that girl is blonde and skinny and this and that, she has just as many insecurities as you do, which is what's crazy.
I wish people would show that.
Yes.
I think that would help. Well, that's having all different types of people be influencers or whatever. Yeah. All we see is the good stuff. Show the bad shit. Yeah. That's what we're here. That's what we're here for. Yeah, exactly.
Welcome. Let's get naked.
Yeah, exactly. Show that you don't have to, look like that or feel like that all the time. Yeah. Like, it's okay to be not okay.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Realizing that for yourself, even when you started saying, that girl can't possibly have a 9 to 5 and do all the things, as soon as you compare yourself to somebody else, everybody loses. Yeah. She loses because you don't know what her story is. Yeah. You lose because you're comparing yourself to somebody that's not a real comparison. That's not a like for like comparison. It's one thing, which I still disagree with, but it's one thing if you're going to be in person with someone, know about what their story is and understand their life and blah, 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 and compare that. But to come from this place of comparing without even knowing, and we do that to each other all the time. That's the whole judgmental piece of it. So how do we get rid of that? How do we facilitate it so that we're lifting each other up and being supportive? But I think a big part of it is having the balls to come on here and say, I don't like my appearance. I have a hard time with self-love, because I think a lot of other people will see that and say, God, I do too. How do we fix it, right? It starts with being kind to yourself,
Yeah.
saying nice things to yourself, being your own hype girl, you know, looking in the mirror and saying, damn, girl, you got this today.
I can't get hired at FJ to be a personal hype girl if I'm not my own
Exactly.
hype girl.
You have to. That's a big part of it, right? But understanding that, talk kind to yourself, right? Share that with your other friends and stuff as well. Yeah. That's a big part of it. Oh my God, my heart is so full right now. Because women around me, it doesn't matter what ages you are, we are terrible to ourselves. We have to figure out how to be better about that. Yeah. You know, understand how to really implement that, because you're gorgeous. I look at you from the outside. I swear to God, you smile. Every picture that I have of you, you smile and you light everything up.
I did get photogenic.
Right. You totally do. But that just goes to show, right? Yeah. It's because people would look at your stuff and be like, oh my God, she's so amazing. And you're not doing the same thing to yourself, right? So think about that from the standpoint also of, you've been given someone to take care of. Would you have a friend that talked to you the way that your internal voice talks to you?
No.
Yeah. Externalize that. No. Externalize that voice. Yeah. Your Aunt Belinda and I call that Darla. That's Darla. And Darla's a bitch, right? But if Darla was talking to you like that, the way that you talk in your own head about, you're not as this as you want, you're not this. We all have it, right? So it's not knowing that. Even the blonde skinny girl has it. She thinks, my teeth aren't good, or like whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But if you externalize Darla, just picture her sitting on the couch next to you, talking to you the way that you talk to yourself in your own head. You wouldn't stand for that. You wouldn't let her talk to your friends.
Choke her out.
Right. Think about Chloe. Shout out Chloe.
Oh, Chucky. Love you,
Think
Chucky.
about Chloe. If Chloe was talking to you in the way that you allow your head to talk, you wouldn't be friends with her.
No.
If somebody was talking to Chloe that way, you'd kick their ass.
Yeah, they'd be dead.
But you let that girl live in your head rent free. Think about that. Think about that, right?
It's powerful.
It is powerful, right? And know that you can change that. Just in the same way that emotional intelligence, mental intelligence of how you allow that hamster wheel to go, you have the power to change that. Once you know that, it's like, holy shit, give me the cheat code. Tell me how to do all of this stuff, because it's true though. That's the mission that I've been on for the last 6 or 8 years of figuring all of this stuff out, because I'm like, I don't want that. Once I realize that I'm not my mind, I'm not that, I'm like, well then tell me how to fix it, because I don't want that. I don't want to carry Darla around all day. No. She's an asshole. She's mean. All of the things. Yeah. We're going to evict Darla. That's part of all of this.
All right.
She's gone.
Eviction notice is up.
She's gone. Okay, so we're coming to the end of our time, and I would like to ask you, this is going to be a good one. My final question for you. If you were, during this exit interview process, if you were going to give your parents a grade on how they did, just
can
like
I do
school.
separate grades, or can I do together
I like
grades?
Let's do separate grades and then overall experience as well.
Okay.
And don't just give them A's because you know.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. Dad gets an F. Just kidding. You get like a C+.
Oh, C+. Okay.
Maybe a B-.
He did text me and say D's get degrees, and I thought that's a cop-out.
Actually, no, they don't anymore. You have to get C's. So
that's a cop-out. Okay, so a C.
Like a C+. He's like at a 78.9, so he could get there.
He's got room to grow.
Yeah,
that's okay. But
the semester's not over, so he's good.
Semester's not over, sir.
My mom probably gets a B. Okay. Not a B+, not a B-.
Just a solid B.
Yeah.
I would take a solid B. I don't think any of my kids would say I get a solid B. So this is excellent.
She did pretty great.
Yeah, she did do pretty great. Your mom's a badass.
Yeah.
Like a real badass.
I mean, if you would have asked me when I was in high school, I would have said like a D.
Yeah,
but I love my mom.
Yeah, space heals all sorts of things.
Yes, it does.
Right.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so you getting out and being able to be away for a while and all of the things, it's excellent.
And then I can just go visit her.
I love it. Okay, well, then let's see. For my may I suggest for this week is being aware that everyone is viewing their life through their own perspective and their own filters, and being willing to show grace to other people because they don't remember the same things, events the same way that you do. So if you can actually keep that in mind as you're going about your life, it goes a long way. So that's my may I suggest. That's our time for today. If you have questions or suggestions, send us an email. Our email address is ladies@letsgetnakedpodcast.com, and do all the things to support the pod. Follow, share, rate, and review. That's a wrap. Catch you next time. Hey, young ladies, if you're willing to be brave like Kreighton was today and come on the podcast to get vulnerable and be brave and naked and share all of the things, send us an email. ladies at letsgetnakedpodcast.com. We'd love to have you on. We feel like we will change the landscape and the conversation by being brave enough and willing to come on and share your stories, your truth, your suggestions. We'd love to hear from you.
I'd love to help you get vulnerable. Let's get naked.